Welcome to Never Again is Now, a podcast about anti-Semitism. In this episode, we'll talk with a remarkable high school student who developed a curriculum about anti-Semitism for middle schoolers. I am Evelyn Marcus, and in addition to being a psychologist, I am featured in a documentary about anti-Semitism, Never Again is Now. I am a Dutch Jew and a daughter of Holocaust survivors. In 2006, I emigrated to the United States because of the rising anti-Semitism in Europe.
I am Phyllis Zimbler Miller, the founder of the free nonfiction Holocaust theater project ThinEdgeTheWedge.com. I grew up in the town of Elgin, Illinois, in the Midwest, in a Jewish community that did not have survivors. Our parents and grandparents had come the turn of the earlier of the 20th century to escape the Tsar and other pogroms. And yet, in 1970, only 25 years after the end of World War II, my U.S. Army officer husband and I were stationed in Munich, Germany, and this changed our lives forever.
Brooke Ruttenberg is a senior at Windward School, a private high school in Los Angeles. She has been volunteering for several years at the Holocaust Museum in Los Angeles. When she noticed a lack of education on anti-Semitism at her school, she decided to write a curriculum herself. She wrote an op-ed about this decision that appeared in the Los Angeles Times. Brooke, welcome to our show.
Thank you for having me.
I get to ask the first question today. So could you please further explain what made you write a curriculum for middle schoolers since you are a senior in high school? And why was the topic a little broader than just anti-Semitism? It was also in prejudice and stereotypes.
Yeah, it's a good question. So I feel like middle school is such a crucial age to kind of like develop opinions and learn the foundations of discrimination. Middle school, I feel like is a time when you really begin to start forming opinions for yourself, and high school is more of a time when like you take action. And I remember being in middle school not really learning a lot about anti-Semitism and the Holocaust like at my school, and so I really wanted to bring that into middle school. And originally when I started making or I had the idea to create the curriculum, I wanted it to be kind of like a basic lesson plan of the Holocaust. But as I researched more and more, like I kind of realized like anti-Semitism didn't start with the Holocaust, nor did it end with the Holocaust. It still happens today. And I think there are so many different components about anti-Semitism, like the manifestations, like how it happens, like what we can do about it. And a lot of that has to do with, prejudice and stereotyping and the scapegoating and propaganda, a lot of stuff that was prevalent in the Holocaust and in other manifestations of anti-Semitism. So, I think that teaching middle schoolers about that is would have been very like great for me, and so that's like why I chose to do that.
Amazing. It's very special that a high school student undertakes something like that. It's really great, Brooke.
Thank you.
Is there something in your personal background that also motivated you to write this curriculum about anti-Semitism?
Yeah, like from when I was young, my parents, they've always made it like a priority to teach me about the Holocaust, teach me about our Jewish history, and like not just about the bad times, but also like about celebrating like being Jewish. And so from a very young age, like I went to Hebrew school, I had a bar mitzvah. Like Judaism has really always been a part of my life. And especially like after the murder of George Floyd, like it was a lot of schools, I wrote about this a little bit in my article, but have been implementing like diverse like DEI programming to their schools, and as 100% they should. And I think it's so necessary and like so amazing. All the important work that all the schools and organizations have been doing. But I kind of noticed that anti-Semitism like wasn't really a part of the conversation. And talking to other peers at my school, they felt the same way. Talking to students in different grades, they felt the same way. I'd have like conversations like with the teen board at the Holocaust Museum, and everyone was kind of thinking the same thing, that it wasn't really paid as much attention to. And I feel like the reason that could be, I'm just like speaking from my own personal experiences, like we're very lucky to like, or I'm very lucky to like live in LA, where there is a very big Jewish population, and like a very strong community. And so I feel like some people probably don't think that it's as necessary to, because well, at least in my school, like there's a lot of Jewish kids, um and so they might not, or I feel like administrators might not think that it's as important to talk about that. But as soon as you get outside of like like into the broader community, like we're like a very, very big minority. And just hearing like all different perspectives, I've like kind of realized the importance of like there needs to be anti-Semitism education, and I can't wait for that to happen. Like I need to do something myself.
Fantastic. Did you get any help with writing the curriculum?
Yeah, I mean, before I started, like I definitely had to conduct my like due diligence. I reached out to like some other schools in the LA area, and I kind of like talked to the head of like DEIs and sent them questions and stuff to kind of inform how I would go about the curriculum. I kind of asked them like what was already being implemented in their schools. Would they even like be wanting to use something like this? Like how do you, I guess like what kind of like lessons do you feel like your students are most engaged in? And just questions like that. And I also talked to some people at the Holocaust Museum, like education advisors, and they were really helpful in kind of guiding me on topics, and because obviously like there is some pretty like heavy stuff um and teaching about anti-Semitism, so kind of getting their feedback and their input about kind of how it's best to approach such a vast topic is really helpful.
Great,
Let's
great.
let's talk about the exact curriculum itself. Now,
Yeah.
it's 4 units, it says on your
Yes.
website, but can you
Yeah.
explain that one period? Explain how it works.
Yeah, so basically what I have is a 4 unit curriculum. It's totally like customizable if someone sees like, oh, like I really want to use like unit 3 versus like all of them, that's totally fine. It's totally just whatever anyone like feels is most useful for them. But it's 4 units, kind of each unit's supposed to like build off of each other. So the first unit is about like defining prejudice and stereotypes, and kind of looking at like the emotions associated with that. I think I show like a piece of propaganda from Nazi Germany, and I have them analyze the image through the lens of thinking about prejudice and stereotyping. And then the second unit is all about kind of looking at propaganda and scapegoating through historic anti-Semitic events. So I have one pagers about the rise of Nazi Germany, the Spanish Inquisition, pogroms, and Imperial Russia. And within that, like have included examples of propaganda and scapegoating. So you can see how apparent it is, how like types of discrimination, how events even happen in the first place, just because of like like the hateful ideology of prejudice and like propaganda and like all that stuff. And then unit 3, I actually interviewed a Holocaust survivor, David Lenga, who actually he spoke to our teen advisory board like a couple years ago, and his testimony was just, it was like really captivating. And he talked a lot about also at the end like the importance of anti-Semitism education. And I thought if I could get him to like contribute a video, his testimony, I thought that would be really special. So I was really happy that he was able to do that. And then the last unit is about kind of like using all of the knowledge gained and taking action. So I have also again like a little excerpt of David like talking about what we can all do to take action in our own lives. And yeah, pretty much it.
And all of this is online. And
Yeah, so I have a sample on my website, And if anyone's interested in using it, there's a little like contact section. And you can contact me and I'll add you on I have like a Google Doc with the curriculum.
Can you give us the URL of your website?
Yeah, it's just historyintoaction.com.
Okay, and we'll share that at the bottom of the interview.
Perfect.
And do you have an overall name for this curriculum?
Yeah, so the curriculum is named History into Action.
So that's okay.
Yeah, and I think the name it's very fitting because a lot of it is learning about the history. I think I'm a believer in I'm a believer in like learning about history because I think it's so important in understanding our present and doing things to combat any type of discrimination like in the present and future. So yeah.
But it's not meant to be used. A curriculum is just not doesn't have to just be used in history class, right? It can be used in all kinds of other classes.
Yeah, any kind of class, like homeroom style classes, history classes, like after school programs, clubs, like really anything.
Got it. Okay, this is so exciting. Evelyn, it's your turn.
How, Brooke, did the school leadership react to the program when you presented it to them?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really lucky to go to a school where all the administrators and just everyone is so receptive and like supportive of my my ideas and my suggestions. So I got so lucky that as soon as I presented it, they were really on board and kind of helped me like find a way to bring this to my school. So I've been teaching it to middle school in seminar classes. And that's been going well. But yeah, I'm very lucky how receptive and open my school was.
That's great. How did the students react to it?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the students, I've gotten a lot of feedback from like students coming up to me and saying, like, I really haven't had any kind of anti-Semitism education. I'm really happy that, we're learning about it. We're learning stuff. So it makes me feel good that, my concerns are also shared by them and they're getting to learn about it like through this curriculum.
And I think the approach you take in the program is that you give examples of anti-Semitism, but you make it examples for hate in general, I think, or racism in general.
Yeah. So it's very much like discrimination, anti-discrimination curriculum, like through the lens of anti-Semitism, like propaganda, stereotyping, prejudice, scapegoating, that could be applied to everything, or to all types of discrimination. And in fact, like the first unit is a little bit like more broad to all types of discrimination, but learning about it through the lens of anti-Semitism is really my goal.
I would like to give a shout out to the founder of your school because I knew her personally, Shirley Woodward, and she was a marvelous person. And so I feel that the school reflects her openness.
Yeah, 100%.
Right?
Yeah.
I thought we should give her a shout out.
Mm-hmm.
And so other schools can use it themselves. Have you considered that you will teach through Zoom or something the courses for other schools? Has anyone asked you to teach it?
Yeah.
What are the next steps?
Next steps. Yeah. I mean, I have some schools in the LA area who are using it right now also, who've had signed off on using it. But I would love to teach it to other schools, continue spreading the word, getting other schools, not just in the LA area, but like maybe across like California or just across the country to use this curriculum. I want like as many people to be able to use it as possible. And hopefully I can teach at other places besides my school. Yeah.
A little clarification. So let's say I want to do unit 1. How long do I need, let's say my teacher, whether I'm going to ask you to do it or I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
How long do I need to allocate for unit 1? To be fair, not just to give it, give us a little idea of which the optimum time you think should be spent on just the first unit, just to give us an idea.
I mean, the first unit, I feel like it really depends on student engagement and how much they want to contribute to like a discussion. But when making when making my curriculum, I really try to design it for the teacher that doesn't care, if that makes sense. Yes. For the teacher who kind of like doesn't know a lot either, doesn't like know a lot, or maybe like doesn't have the time to prepare, or maybe just is just doing this because like they were told to. So I have like step-by-step instructions on like leading like a teacher through everything, including the discussion. But to your question, it depends. Like in some of the classes I've taught, like I've had really, really like lengthy discussions, and some have been a little bit more like concise and a little shorter. So it really depends like how students respond. But I would say like half an hour, you can like get it done, like 30 to 40 minutes.
Of one unit.
The
Okay.
first one, yeah.
And just as an aside, what are your career goals? Do you want to get a PhD in education? I mean, what are your
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty like, I don't really like know at the moment. I'm pretty like open, but I know that whatever I want to do, I want to continue like making an impact, and like having the knowledge to continue combating anti-Semitism and positively like impacting my community, and maybe like more like having like a more widespread impact as well. I like that idea. So something related to that, or to help me do that.
Okay,
I'm
Evelyn.
wondering, if have you been awarded for this endeavor?
No, I haven't received any awards for this.
No?
I published an article in the LA Times teen
Yes,
section,
I've
which,
read that.
yeah, I thought, yeah. But no, I haven't really received any like specific.
Did you get
No.
any feedback from that article? I mean, that's how we found out about you. But
Yeah. I mean, like I've just had like people come up to me and just tell me how much they resonated with it, and how like they just agreed with everything that I had to say, and they're so happy that, someone like took action on their beliefs. Because I feel like for me personally, when I was, like a freshman and sophomore in high school, like I would kind of like notice these things, um, like but not really like do anything. And so I think that I've just received a lot of positive feedback about people like really happy that like I've, taken the initiative to do this. And yeah, feels good.
when did you start teaching a curriculum? In other words, was it last school year?
So I finished the curriculum like over the summer. I would say probably like maybe at the very beginning of the summer. So I started teaching the curriculum at the very beginning of the school year. So for a
Okay.
couple months, yeah.
So it's very fresh still.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And I think it's amazing what you did here in a day and age when teaching about anti-Semitism is not always seen as necessary or
Right.
acceptable.
Mhm.
But your experience is that students, Jewish or not, like what you teach them,
Yeah.
and you make it also into a broader
Mhm.
applicable a course than only on discrimination of Jews, but
Yeah.
discrimination in general. So I think it's brilliant what you did there.
Thank you so much.
What recommendations do you have for other students who feel that their school would need more educational
Mhm.
anti-Semitism?
Yeah, I mean, again, like I'm very lucky to go to a school where like everyone's so receptive and like open to hear my ideas, and I realize it's not like a given for everyone. Um and I would say definitely like if you feel safe doing so and you feel supported doing so, like voice your opinions, like voice your concerns. Because like the worst thing that can happen if you try is that it doesn't happen, and or someone says no. That's the worst thing that'll happen. So I say if you feel comfortable, like speaking to an administrator, like taking the initiative on your own, like I would definitely encourage anyone to do that. And I think also in this day and age, like given current events and everything that's happening, it's so important that we deal with anti-Semitism preemptively rather than waiting for when it happens. And I believe like education is the biggest part of that. Educating people about anti-Semitism and discrimination, how it happens, like why it happens, like who allows it to happen. I believe that that's like how we like a very big way in how we can combat anti-Semitism, and like combat the surge. But again, if any student, I would say, feels comfortable taking the initiative on their own and talking to an administrator, talking to someone, like definitely just go for it. And if you don't feel comfortable, there are so many resources out there to get involved, join like student organizations and educate yourself, because I feel like that's just as important. Educate yourself and those around you, whether it's with like administrators' help or not.
And maybe suggest your program to the school.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. Do you have any last thoughts? This is so important.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to, since we're doing well on time, I do want to ask a question that a little, well, you'll see.
Yeah.
Has anyone ever said anything anti-Semitic to you that you have been unprepared to answer, or you've been able to answer and
Mhm.
been able to diffuse a situation? That's something we're starting to look at in terms of helping
Yeah.
our guests, our listeners. And so, since you are so amazing, I just
Yeah.
wanted to know if you could share an experience like that with us.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I've ever dealt with someone anti-Semitic like to my face, or like say something blatantly anti-Semitic in front of me or anything like that. But I mean, in a day and age when social media is very prevalent, very much like what everyone's doing, you see anti-Semitic stuff like on the media. And I think that it's just important to speak out against it. Like use your voice, like educate others around you. Yeah, but unfortunately, or fortunately, I haven't like experienced that personally. But something that I've talked to some of the administrators about at my school is that I'm very much like in a LA bubble right now. I have a very strong like Jewish community around me, but I mean, I'm gonna go to college next year. I don't know what's gonna happen. Anti-Semitism is very prevalent on college campuses,
Yeah.
unfortunately. And so I established a Jewish affinity group at my school, and so part of my reasoning for doing that is that it's important to have such a strong community and discuss these things so that we feel like prepared once we do go to college, or if we go somewhere different where there is a little bit more anti-Semitism, being like prepared and well equipped to handle that.
Could you just say a couple more words about the Jewish Affinity Group? I
Yeah,
want other people to hear about it. My
yeah,
daughter works at a major organization here
right.
in LA, and they finally got a Jewish Affinity Group. Tell
Yeah.
us what you mean by that.
Yeah, so a Jewish affinity group, or affinity groups in general, it's basically like just a safe space of people who identify as a certain like thing, in this case as people who identify as Jewish, to come together and kind of discuss important issues, and also like about celebrating holidays. In my Jewish affinity group, I brought in a couple Holocaust survivors to come and speak. Um, when the Texas synagogue hostage situation happened, we had a whole meeting where we, talked about that, and we discussed that as a community. We commemorated Holocaust Remembrance Day as a community. And also like on some holidays like Shabbat, like we play like dreidel and like do all those like fun holiday things. So it's just about, I feel like it's been really amazing having a space where we can both do like some more serious stuff and also some more lighthearted stuff. Just having like that sense of community.
So, kids who are at, let's say, public schools where they're very much Jewish kids in the minority,
Right.
this is one thing that they could do on their own if they
Mm-hmm.
can't get your curriculum in place, but do feel sort of unsafe, that they can create these safe spaces themselves.
Right.
And
Yeah, that's a great idea.
that's
Yeah.
why I wanted you to mention it, because I think it's very important. And also, I
100%.
know, without naming my daughter's employer, that now there's no excuse if the company does something like not anti-Semitic, but doesn't pay attention to certain dates or something.
Mm-hmm.
Then the affinity group can go and say, "You realize maybe you should have looked at the calendar." I mean,
Right.
obviously,
Mm-hmm.
or do that ahead of time rather than one person. I used to be the person who said, "Do you realize you're having this event on whatever?"
Yeah.
For the group to go right and say,
Mm-hmm.
"Safety
Yeah.
in numbers."
Yeah, I've had those experiences too, and I think it's so important to use your voice. If, for example, like just speaking like as a student in high school, like if a teacher assigns like a test the day after, um I don't know, like break the fast or something, like in your, you're fasting, you're at temple, whatever, like use your voice and say like, you know what, I have like other obligations, like like if it was another holiday, like you probably wouldn't do that. Or just anything like that. Or if there's a like Jewish holiday that the school didn't like acknowledge, any school, using your voice to say, hey, like maybe we should, send like an email out, send like a flyer out or something like that. So yeah, I'm definitely like agree with what you said.
Excellent. This has been a very important interview. Anything else you'd like to add before we thank you?
No, I think we covered everything. Thank you again so much for having me.
Oh, our pleasure. And thank our listeners and everyone who has not yet seen Evelyn's documentary, Never Again Is Now. It's available on Amazon and YouTube, and you can get more about my free nonfiction play at thinedgeofthewedge.com. And everyone, without putting yourself in physical danger, please speak up against anti-Semitism and all hate.